This is a Stamping Army Wife tutorial. Today we're going to be learning how to make a card using a rubber stamped image that looks like it's watercolored. To begin, we need to start with our cardstock. I have a piece of cardstock cut 5.5 by 8.5 inches and scored down the middle to make our card. This is an elegant eggplant. The next piece we'll need is the Faux saffron colored mat. This is cut to 5 by 3 3/4 inches. Next we'll need the piece that we're going to stamp onto. I've used Very Vanilla, and this is a 4 by 3 1/4. And I've also cut a small piece for the inside so that we can put our text in there, and it's easier to see than stamping on the elegant eggplant, which is very dark. So this inside section I've cut to 2.5 by 3, but you can always vary that size based on how much text or the stamped image that you're putting inside your card. So the first thing we want to do is stamp our image. Because we are spraying a little bit of water on it, it will take a moment for it to dry. So it's great to do this before you start attaching anything together. So the image I'm using today is from the Upsy Daisy set. What you want to do is ink up your stamp like normal, and I'm using Elegant Eggplant to coordinate the colors of the card. I'm going to move this paper out of the way. So once you have your image stamped, you're going to take a spray bottle, hold it a little ways away from the image, and give a spray. You'll see it starting to soften up the ink. You don't want to spray too much because then your ink will just run. So a little spray from a distance will be perfect. Then you want to go ahead and stamp your image like you normally would. And you can see that we've gotten this really nice soft watercolor effect. And every time you do this, your effect is going to come out slightly different. If it wasn't quite as watery as you had wanted it, the image was still a little bit too sharp, you could spray the paper again with a little bit of water, but remember, don't spray too much or the ink is just going to bleed. You can also do this using watercolor paper for a different effect, because that paper is meant to hold the water a little bit more than regular cardstock. But I wanted to use the Very Vanilla instead of a white, which is the usual color for watercolor paper. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment while it dries. And while I have my ink pad out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp up my inside text, which is Thinking of You, and it's from the Sincere Salutations. So again, ink up and stamp. If you had wanted to, you could stamp first and then cut your text out just to make sure you have enough room. I'm going to set this one aside, and I'm going to attach our Faux saffron mat onto the card. Now you can center it in the middle, or you can do it offset slightly, as I've done in the sample here. It just adds a little bit more character to the card, because usually we see everything centered. So I'm going to take my double-sided tape and apply it to all the sides. Now I'm going to attach this to the front of my card, and I am going to do a little bit of the offset, just for something different. Now you can see our watercolor piece has dried now that we're at this stage. You can put it on here plain, and it will look great. Or, like I've done in the sample, you can ink around the edges just to add a little bit more dimension and make that pop off the page. So to do that, you can take your ink pad with the color you want. We're using our Elegant Eggplant, and I'm just kind of touching the sides on here. If you hold the cardstock on there, it will start to bleed up into the image, into the cardstock. So the longer you press, the more the ink is going to bleed up into the paper or be soaked up into it. So the thicker, the more intense the line you're going to have. Now if you've applied a lot of water to your image here, it might start to curl up. You can use a heat tool and apply that, and that will flatten your image out. I didn't put very much water, so my image is fine. I'm going to do the same thing we did to do the So Saffron Matte. I'm going to apply the adhesive around all four sides. And I'm going to attach that again offset a little bit, just for something different. So now the outside of the card is finished. All we have left to do is attach our text on the inside. So just apply our tape. And I am going to center this on the inside. And that's how you do a faux watercolor stamp. Thank you for watching.